Are you ready for some real thought-provoking conversations that lead to spiritual wisdom and discovery to provide you with clear direction on every area of your life? Well, sit back and relax. You've made it to the right place. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to Heart of Inspiration. Well, how are you guys doing? Hello. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm trying not to be too terribly loud because I am actually staying with one of my dear friends here in California, and they've gone on to bed. So I'm trying not to be too loud, but I wanted to come and chat with you guys. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Hey, Rhythm, how are you, dear? Let everybody know that we're here, guys. Share this live. Share. I'm not going to be long. I'm not going to hang on to y'all. I want to tell y'all a little bit about my trip. But really importantly, I want to discuss something that literally just kind of happened today to me. And I think this is an important discussion to have about you cannot avoid the tower moment. Hey, Lightstorm, how are you, beloved? Hello. I probably should put my name up here, shouldn't I? It might be nice to put my name up and actually, here we go. We're going to display that. I might talk a little bit about that too. But anyway, I appreciate y'all being here. We're going to try to be on here a little bit more often. I know I've been absent. I have been worse than absent. I have been like non-present. I have been like, uh, deadbeat creator. But honestly, I've been doing some things. I've been doing a lot of things, and with Heart of Inspiration, the business with Lightworker Academy, with all sorts of different things. So it's not that I've not been working or not been doing anything, and it's just that I haven't been able to be on here. But we're going to rectify that. Yeah, I might be going more towards like pre-recorded content, but we're going to actually probably head that way and then do once a week live. Let's get into it, shall we? Let's get into you can't avoid the tower moments and why you shouldn't try. There, I think, are times I know in all of our lives where changes need to be made. Sometimes that involves removing energies. Sometimes it involves releasing energies. Most of the time, it involves people in some form or fashion. Sometimes it can involve your job, changing jobs, or whatever the case may be. Sometimes it's relocating. But most of the time, it is where you know that something has run its course. Some relationship in some way, shape, form, or fashion, be it friendship, be it romantic, be it whatever, has run its course. And if you're anything like me, that is not a very comfortable place to be. When you know that it's time, and if this is you, put a 1 in the chat if you've ever avoided taking care of some business because it was uncomfortable, you had a very tight bond with the person, whatever the case may be. Maybe it's just me. Okay, so I want to welcome everybody that's over there on the Facebooks and over here on the YouTubes. Maybe it's just me, and something has run, the time is over, and yet you don't necessarily do what you're being directed to do. It must just be me. I don't see nail 1 in the chat. So I'm just going to tell you about myself tonight. I'm just going to tell you about myself, because you guys, if there's anything that you know, if you've been with me long enough, you know that I'm very transparent. You know that I don't avoid tough topics, that I don't sugarcoat it, that I let you know exactly who I am, what I'm about, and what's going on in my life. Oh, finally, I won one. Thanks, Desire. Hey, sweets, how are you? Um, so I sometimes have a difficult time when I know that it's time to move on. I will stay in that situation. Hey, Melba, thank you, dear. I will stay in the situation longer than I'm supposed to. Now, most of you, if you know me, you know that I, for years, I'm still ordained. This year's my 25th year being ordained as a Christian minister. And there's a story in the Bible, about, uh, the children of Israel, and after Moses has let them out of Egypt, and they are fed from heaven, right? They are fed manna and honey and all sorts of things from heaven. Right? Manna fell from heaven every day. This is where in the Lord's Prayer we get give us this day our daily bread, because manna would fall from heaven miraculously to feed them while they were in the desert, and they had no access to any food. But now, if you studied the Bible at any point in time, you also know that if any leftover manna the next day was rotten, it would literally rot overnight. So you couldn't save yesterday's bread for tomorrow, because tomorrow was getting provided for anyway. And if you tried to carry over old stale manna, it was what? The next day, it was rotten. It was no good for consumption. It was no longer going to nourish you. It was not fresh. It was not going to give you the energy that you needed to get through your next day. When we avoid the tower moments, it's as if we're eating day old manna. In the church, we would say you can't carry a dead anointing along with you into your next stage in life. And really what that was, we should say this to men as ministers, we say this all the time. And just tell people, when your time is up for a space and a place, when you no longer have the grace and the anointing to finish and fulfill and to continue on in that position, and you continue to try to go through and do it anyway. You stay at a church too long, you stay in a ministry too long, you stay with a person too long, you stay wherever it is too long. That grace has run out and you're carrying along a dead anointing, and it's heavy. It's no longer flowing, it's heavy. It's no longer serving you or supporting you or fulfilling you. It's heavy. You're no longer serving others. It's heavy. You no longer are efficient and effective in what you're doing because it's heavy, and you're carrying around a dead anointing that does no one any good any longer. And then what happens? It becomes uncomfortable. What happens becomes, what did I say? Uncomfortable. It becomes unbearable. You begin to resent that person, or that person begins to resent you. All of a sudden, when you used to be able to flow and to come up with ideas and collaborate, and we were feeding one another, it no longer is there any longer. Because why? You stuck around too long, or they stuck around too long, or you just stayed in the situation too long, and nobody was willing to have the courage to say this is over. Now, we do this a lot in our own personal romantic lives. I know I ain't the only one that the relationship been done, child. The love has gone. Love don't live here no more. But yet we're here. We're here for the kids, or we're here because we have history, or we're here because we put in so much time and so much effort and so much energy into the situation, and we don't want to let it go. Because why? Because we have this. We have what used to be. Now, I'm not saying if you're in a temporary situation where maybe, the spark isn't quite there where it used to be, that you should just walk away from it. I'm not saying that, but you all know what I'm talking about. There's a moment in time where the two of you ain't going to make it. That whatever once was there is no longer. What you based your relationship on is no longer valid today. You've grown, they've grown, you all grown apart. Maybe you grown and they ain't grown, and you really done grown apart. Because you done elevated up here and they still stuck down here. It's a problem. Right? It's a problem. It don't work like that. You can't stay in a relationship when after the love is gone. There's Earth, Wind, and Fire song. After the love is gone, you go look it up. Go find it. Don't. I ain't gonna play it here because they're gonna copyright. But go find it after the love is gone. When the love is gone, then the whole thing gets just nasty and it's hard, right? You look over there and you can't even stand how they chew their food. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I know I ain't the only one, but every little thing just bothers you. It's the same way no matter what relationship that you have. Now, tower moments come when things need to be shaken up in our lives. I have a little tower card here. I want to show y'all here. Hang on. Now, this is just one depiction of the tower. But you just tolerate them. That's right, desire. You just tolerate them. You're no longer celebrated, you're tolerated. And let's be real, sometimes we're the ones that are tolerating the other person and we're no longer celebrating them. But we don't know how to tell them it's time to separate. We don't know how, right? So I'm going to put you like this. Here's the tarot card. Don't be scared. It ain't going to hurt y'all. In every deck, just about, I don't think there's any deck I've ever seen yet that doesn't do this. The tower is typically depicted in this way. It's usually leaning. It's most always on fire. And there's usually a crowd of some sort that's toppled off the top. And people jumping out the windows. Sometimes there's some of them where the Fool, which if you guys know anything about the tarot, the major arcana tells the story of the Fool. The Fool is a 0 card. And so it's really an evolutionary description and depiction of the human incarnation. But in this is the 16th card. So here we are a little bit further. There's 20 major arcana, 21 if you count 0. We're over halfway through the life of the person, of whatever portion of this incarnation cycle that we're in. So we're over halfway through. So we've done a lot. We've discovered secrets. We've created things. We've birthed things. We've stood strong in who we are in our conviction. We've had faith, all sorts of things. Okay? All sorts of things. And now here we come to this print here, where we are at a tower moment. Let me look up. I don't memorize these. What is the 15th major arcana? Sometimes I don't be knowing. The devil is the 15th card. Okay. And the 14th card is temperance. So what's happening is we came into this place of patience and balance and whatnot. And right before the tower moment is the devil card. Now, the devil card doesn't represent the devil. The devil. The devil card represents toxicity. The devil represents addiction. The devil represents bondage. The devil represents obsession. The devil, it's something, temptation. But the devil card, if you look at the devil card, I don't have that one right here, but the devil card also, here you have this devil, usually it's a Baphomet or something like that. And there's these chains, and there's this couple that it looked as if they were bound to this devil. But if you look closely, the chains are dropped, the chains are broke, the chains ain't even really there, child. It's not there. So you yourself, then the devil card really represents what obsessions you're holding on to yourself, what addictions you're holding on within yourself. What are you unwilling to, what toxicity are you unwilling to get rid of? And then comes the 15th card, which is the Tower moment, right? The 16th, I believe, oh, this is the 16th card. I'm sorry, the 17th card is the Star, which is, it corresponds to Aquarius, and it is you finally achieving or receiving or understanding that you come outside of yourself, your humanity, and it's a renewal of hope, of faith, of your abilities to achieve your highest good. You are renewed in that you can actually do this. It is what happens to you after you do your shadow, after you get rid of, after the shakeup that this Tower moment, this Tower card represents. You see, the Tower card represents everything at the foundational level shaken, because now this stone tower that was strong and could withstand anything and was able to house everything within you, that was able to protect you and weather you, help you weather the storm, and help you stand strong. And you are only looking out this little window up there, and there's only a little door downstairs. So, you weren't letting too much in, but you could still peep out, and you were safe in your tower until you had to face your toxicity, until you had to face your obsession, until you had to face that which you didn't want to face, until you had to realize that you were holding on to stale old manna. Hey, Samantha. Until you're ready to recognize that you're holding on to what's stale and old manna, an old anointing. You're carrying around something that was dead. You are lugging it around, and it's a lead dead weight. And it's withholding you and stopping you from growing and achieving, and that rebirth that comes after you release it, and after you heal it, and after you allow the shakeup to happen. I'm telling you that when you avoid the Tower moments in your life, when you refuse to go through the shakeup and the change up, when you're like, there's all these reasons why I should not extricate this person, these people, this energy from my situation, and you may have had completely good and altruistic reasons, because you didn't want to hurt somebody, because you didn't want to cause anybody pain, because you wanted to figure out a way to keep them in your sphere and in your world, because you wanted to maintain that relationship, because you wanted to still see them win, because you yourself wanted to win. Because you yourself were like, hey, this person is important to me, this energy is important to me, this situation, this job, this company, this whatever it is, this relationship is important to me. And so I don't want to hurt them, so I hold on to it. But it's stale, old manna. It's a dead anointing. Its time has passed. The flower has bloomed and now has wilted. There is nothing left in it except for anger, rage, frustration, resentment, hurt, and pain. So when you avoid doing the shadow work that the devil card represents, because you're really not tied to it, it's the illusion. It's the illusion. You have to decide you wish to break free. So when you don't break free, you hit the tower moment. And sometimes this tower moment, like if you go on and go through it on your own, it's a lot easier. Let me tell you what happens when you avoid the tower moment. When you avoid doing what you know you're supposed to do, this happens. Instead of you running, because that's what I'm saying, some of the tower cards, they show the fool running away, like just been narrowly escaping. Like, okay, listen, I could see the handwriting on the wall. Child, it's time for me to be up out of here. I don't want to, I'm going to do better. Let me get on out of my prison, because this looks like a prison tower. Most all of them look like a prison tower. Let me escape out of the prison I have constructed for myself. When you refuse to do that, what happens? There's no escape. Then what happens is you go to jumping out the window. There's no escape from it then. There's no like, oh, let me learn my lesson and just kind of learn it and allow that part of it to die so that you can be reborn in a very easy manner, or relatively easy. You still got to go through the pain of the birth and the pain of the death, but it's not as bad. So this is what happens. Child, you end up with people jumping out windows. You jumping out the window on fire. Your britches on fire. Why? Because you didn't release that what you were supposed to, because you didn't you didn't take the initiative when the universe, when your guides, when your ancestors, when your angels were telling you, honey, it's time. They were tapping you on your shoulder saying, you got to let that go. You're blocking your rebirth. You're blocking the rebirth of whatever it is, because you won't allow what needs to be shaken, and you won't come out of the prison that you have constructed for yourself, and sometimes that you constructed for others. So what the tower also represents is ego death. See that crown up on top of that tower? Oh, over here. The crown up on top there that always topples over. That's you sitting in your ego. Now I'm talking to y'all about this because this is just basically within the last 12 or so hours happened to me, where I didn't take care of a situation in a way that I should have, and in the timing that I should have. And what ended up unfortunately happening is it ended up ending poorly. And that's a shame. And it really hurts me to my core, because I never meant to hurt anyone. Now, do I personally think that I honestly hurt anyone? I don't. But the perception is that that's what happened. Right? That's their reality. And I can't deny someone else's perception. That's their perception. Right? So that's their reality. What I can say is that in the instance that has recently happened to me, and any other time that I avoid anything like this, the shakeup, when the shakeup happens, child, it feels like everything, like you just burning up, because you get shaken to your core. you look within and you're like, oh my God. And then you're like, okay, I know you was trying to tell me to take care of this. But I didn't. Because whatever. And there's an ego place that is in there. And that's why that crown is there. Because you place this crown, you get this crown, I'm standing strong, an emperor's crown, I'm standing strong in this. And then at some point, that crown comes tumbling down. And you realize that what you were standing on, one solid ground, or it was solid, but it was the wrong ground. And now everything got shook up and it all came tumbling down. When you avoid the tower moment, the change then is so much more painful. The change then is, and it's unnecessarily painful. It's unnecessarily painful. The change then comes when the universe has finally said, listen, okay, you ain't going to do it, so I'm going to do it. You're not going to move, so I got to move. Because something got to shake, sugar. It's either you shaking or I'm shaking, but we shaking. We got to shake. One way or the other. And that's the unfortunate part. Is that when you avoid that tower moment, what you experience is 20 times worse than what you could have done. I mean, it would have been not easy because anytime you go through a death and a rebirth, it's not easy. There's always a grieving process. There's always a moment where you're like, oh my gosh, I never thought it was going to end like this. But it does. You know, I didn't think I was going to get to this point. But it's easier than if you avoid it and then you let this happen. Now, if you lean into this tower moment, if you lean into the shaking of the foundation, the new foundation that's built is so much stronger and it's so much better. And then the earth is so much more fertile and the seeds grow so much better and you get an amazing harvest behind it. Because you've allowed the cleansing of your space to happen. You've allowed the death, and then that what dies fertilizes that your earth, your ground, and then the rebirth is magnificent. But when you don't, child, it's a wildfire. It's all burning down at the same darn time. You can't avoid the tower moment. We have to understand that the shakeup is going to come no matter what. The shakeup is going to happen no matter what. So you might as well lean into it rather than avoid it. You may as well lean into it rather than avoid it. Because if you avoid it, it's certain destruction is going to happen. If you lean into it, you can ride through it. You can see the lesson clearly, and it's just smoother. And the rebirth can happen in a much easier way. If you avoid the tower moment, you're avoiding the release of the next level of blessing. If you avoid the tower moment, you are keeping yourself stuck in an energy and at a level, at a frequency that you are not meant to stay in. If you avoid the tower moment, you avoid your evolutionary process. If you avoid the tower moment, you're avoiding your ascension process. If you avoid the tower moment, you are avoiding your destiny. Hey, MJ Wilson, how are you? That's right. Lean into it. Just lean on in. I don't know how I came across this, but it was destined for me to hear this. I'm so glad that you did. The universe has an amazing way of doing that, doesn't it? I'm so glad you're here around on the Facebooks. I'm not sure you came across it on Facebook either. Lean into it. We avoid change. We avoid change. We avoid anything that we perceive is going to cause us or other people pain. We avoid it. We have a natural aversion to it in our human self. In our ethereal selves, in our true selves, our spirit self, we're always changing. I mean, think about like energy is free to roam, right? If you think about steam, think about when you boil some water and the steam rises. Does the steam just stay in one little column and just go straight up? No. The steam goes in the air and spreads and dissipates. It spreads far and wide until you can't see it anymore, right? Because it's free energy. Or freer than it was when it was a water molecule, that's for sure. Your spirit is like that. It's always changing. It's never just staying in one specific form. It's free. So when we avoid that tower moment, we're basically trying to contain all this energy that's trying to get released so it can recreate our world. It's trying to get released so we can step into our destiny. It's trying to get released so it can shape the new world that we're stepping into, so that as our frequency of our third dimensional being raises, we can live in that space. We can be there and easily. When we avoid that tower moment, we're confining ourselves and not allowing ourselves to change and evolve and grow. And we are then stifling ourselves and stifling our process and stunting our growth. You cannot avoid the tower moment, and you should not. You should not ever avoid it. Let it happen. Good. Yes, lean into what the universe is doing. Please, because there's a lot of changes that are coming. There's a lot, like our world just changes, like it's so fast, it's changing faster. But us as three-dimensional beings, it doesn't mean just because the rest of the world is changing, we still have a process that we have to go through. We can't skip the process. And sometimes, again, that process is release of relationship. It's release of old anointing. It's release of everything, all of that. Hey, Miss Ashley, how are you? So lean into it. I told you I wasn't going to be long for this live. I want to, do a short live so people can enjoy it and not avoid a long live. So, like I said, I'm here in LA. I'll be here in Los Angeles at least until Saturday next week, the 15th. My birthday is the 16th. So I'm super excited about all of that. That's just like super crazy exciting. Let me see if this is too many characters. So I want to put this out here to, oh, I'm so glad. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Very well, as a matter of fact. Very well. I'm going to put this out here, guys. But I want you to just everywhere, YouTube and Facebook. I just started, we're announcing this tomorrow. Um, oh, crap. Really, guys? Hang on one second. Please put this on YouTube. Here, let's do this. I'm doing memberships for some of you may not know, but I'm sure most of you know that I do also um, help light workers start their businesses. We've been doing it for 2.5 years now. This is insane. Anyway, um, there's a couple of, I can't get this to do what I want it to do. You go to Luminary lab.lightworkeracademy.net, and you're going to be able to get access to my business, my spiritual business coaching program. It is Light LBA or Lightworker Business Accelerator 2.0. It's videos and it's workbooks and 2 group coaching calls a month. But the potential for a third if we do one of the other packages. But what I've done is I've taken the program that typically is part of a bigger package that's $4,000 or $8,000 or $10,000 with like website creation and everything, and I've turned it into a membership, so you can get access to the business portion to be able to start your own business. Step by step. We have videos, we have workbooks. I'm revamping the whole thing. It's so fun. And then you get a couple of group coaching calls with me a month. So that's the link. It just starts at just $197 a month. That's the link in the chat on both Facebook and on YouTube. And it's in the description boxes on both platforms. So I hope to see you guys there. We're just launching it. You guys are actually hearing about it before everybody else does. Those of you on my mailing list will hear about this a little bit more tomorrow. So please feel free. I would love to see you guys. I wanted to make it and bring it to everybody so that no one had to kind of suffer through the tower moment alone, and that we could all get out here and help impact humanity. All right, I'm actually going to a symposium in the morning, so I'm going to get some rest. I know it's late. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I appreciate you. We'll come live again. I'll probably go live on TikTok. We'll come live here as well again over the weekend. I actually want to have a podcast interview with a dear friend. I don't know if they're going to be up for it, but we'll see if we can arrange for that before I leave. And yeah, I'm so thankful to be here with you guys. Don't avoid the tower moments, guys. Lean into them, ride the wave, allow whatever needs to be cleared out so that it can be done in an easier fashion. Because when you avoid it, honey, by the time that shakeup happens, let me tell you, it ain't nothing nice. I want to thank you guys for joining me so much, okay? We'll see you very soon. Peace, love, blessings, and joy be unto you today, tomorrow, and for all eternity. I love you guys so much. Namaste. Bye.